So we're hiking in the Vikos Gorge right now, and it's a little rainy, but it's not horrible. I have this thing here. Could you state your name, please? It's a rock. There's no one here. I can't interview anyone. It's currently 7 degrees Celsius in Vikos Gorge, with a slight rainfall. Vikos is located in the northern part of Greece, tucked away in the mountains, alongside a massive cliff. The gorge is about 11.4 kilometers long, with about 971 meters of elevation gain. But how was the Grand Canyon of Greece formed?
So similarly to canyons in the desert southwest of the United States, it's kind of got this stair-stepped look where you have flat areas and then very steep cliffs and then kind of less steep, more like slopes, and then very steep and then less steep and very steep and less steep like that. It's like the Grand Canyon has that whole sort of stair-stepped look to it. This is not quite as stair-stepped. It's more V-shaped and not U-shaped. But what that's about is harder layers of rock and less hard layers of rock. So let's think about the softer rock. If you cut down with a river through soft rock, then the sides of the cut will also erode. So there's water flowing down from the sides. And so you may start with a canyon like this, but over time it erodes out and becomes like this. So softer rock makes slopes, and harder rock, you can't do that. Once it's cut down, that's like you're done. You've cut, and you're just going to keep cutting vertically because that rock isn't soft enough to erode sideways. So the hard rock makes cliffs, and the soft rock makes slopes, cliff, slope, like that.
The Vikos Gorge also has steeper cliffs because of the harder rocks.
It has slopes and flat and steep and slopes and flats and steep, like the Grand Canyon, but more of it is cliffy, and that's because the rock is typically harder. The Grand Canyon rock, you have very hard sandstone and limestone that makes cliffs, and then much softer shales in between that make slopes. And it looks to me, when I look at this, and also when I read on Wikipedia, like there's hardly any shale here. It's mostly hard rock, like limestone, that forms cliffs. So that's kind of why the canyon has this very steep, rugged, badass shape, is that the rock is really tough and hard to erode.
But what is the Vikos Gorge like?
Way up in the mountains there, it's wet, it's cold, it rains like hell up there. So it's green and it's lush, there's lots of vegetation. And the thing about limestone is that it's hard, so it doesn't make cliffs, but it's also soluble in rain. And so the rain gets in there and dissolves like caves and channels inside the rock and kind of undermines it from inside. And that also forms cliffs as it like dissolves out from the inside and then spalls off big chunks.
But where does the rain go? There was no rushing river.
Which is weird, kind of, because it's certainly the rainy season up there, and you even were in the rain, and yet it didn't have a giant, roaring river down the middle of this big, giant gorge. And probably the reason is that the limestone is porous from all of this dissolving of holes down into the rock. So there's almost certainly a lot of water running down that gorge, but it's underground. So it's like an underground river that's eating it from underneath.
The Vikos Gorge was one of the most fascinating sights in Greece.